So we have Scorpio here.
Yo.
So we have another solid modality, another fixed modality. When these lunation cycles happen in on the angles, meaning the first, the fourth, the seventh, or the 10th, the volume that these archetypes or influences as these celestial bodies are transiting these houses, the volume gets cranked up. So the south node being on your first house, on your ascendant, and uh, this lunation cycle being experienced, the moon being eclipsed on the axis of your seventh house of other people, and especially since Uranus is there. How has the past while been for your spouses and business partners, and um have you experienced changes? um so this theme of the self and others, and this polarity that's at play. And so in this instant, has the increase of other people or the influence of others, has that decreased your light, your psychology, your physical body? And because you have a Mars ruled ascendant, being in the eighth house as well, I'm feeling this mystery. And so your chart ruler going backwards and going back over things in this place of Hades, like in this transformation house. I feel this is going to be very transformational for
Mhm.
Scorpio. I mean, for numerous reasons. This south node working on you for a long period of time, and the darkening of the dark. This is your time of year. This is where this is where and what it was like when you were born. These elements, this darkness, um, and the darkening of the dark, and this depth. So even this Venus that is on your ascendant, is there some sort of like charisma, or this even maybe it could be something about even like your your charisma and like this kind of sexuality. There's also, is there some sort of announcement that you have with the Mercury Cazimi here? Um, are those elements coming into play during this time? Have you been feeling that there's been something that you've been wanting to speak to or write about? Um, and or I mean, at this point, not only is it a Cazimi, but Mercury is in the placement of his joy. So to orate or to announce something, especially about where you're going and what you want to do, or just the power of your voice, to announce something and be very specific with your words, um, and that could actually overpower other people in your life. So, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That could mean that you actually are coming out, because Scorpio has a bad rap for not expressing themselves, or staying down low and deep and being very stealthy and being able to read and call bullshit on everybody else around them. So I find it really interesting that for Scorpio, a sign that doesn't typically show its cards very
Mm,
well, actually has this empowered Mercury here. And there's
mhm,
this direct line that for this moment in time, getting baked into this lunation cycle, influencing this next 6 months with its chart ruler, where for the next, 6 months, Mars is not going to be able to actually see it. But this time it's baked in. So there is a communication line with the chart ruler. So something to do with um the occult, or information, or even protection when it comes to technology, um,
Mm,
and speaking your mind and saying, "No, I this is how I'm going to deal with this, and other people are not increased," for this moment. Like, this your stage is getting set. So the moon is like that setting, and so um the setting of other people will be blocked out for a moment, and you may have this spark of mercurial energy.
mhm. Yeah. I mean, what's coming to me really is just things that assist with transformation.
Mm,
So on the one hand, I'm thinking Fragonia essential oil, but essential oils are tricky in a way that um, you really want to be attracted to the scent. And that is a scent that not many people are probably familiar with. So it makes it kind of tricky, like, do I order this and try it or not? Because it may or may not resonate.
yeah.
So if you're choosing something and you're not sure whether you're going to resonate with the scent, see if the company offers samples. Sometimes they'll send you like a little like a perfume stick with like a sample of the fragrance or a sample of the scent on it. You can also look, usually companies, when you go on to websites to buy essential oils, they have pictures of the plant of the flower. You can see if you're like visually drawn to the image, if that resonates with you. But a couple of flower essences. So one is a flower essence that Still Point Aromatics carries. It's Utah juniper. Um, And so she makes her own essences. So this actually came right from Sedona, which the juniper
Wow.
was, she harvested the needles there locally. But it assists with comfortably releasing the past, opening doorways into new endeavors and new vibrational level, reaching a state of deep relaxation and inner versatility, protection of the psyche on all levels, the ability to stand firm with new ideas, seeing new doorways, and finding emotional and spiritual support for the self in dark times.
Mm,
So again, like those like deeply like transformational energies. The other one that comes to mind, and again, there are so many essences, like you can just have at it and read through all of them and see what resonates the most in terms of your reading, in terms of like the pictures of the flowers. These are just some that immediately come to mind, but just see what resonates. But the other one that comes to mind is a blend from Lotus Way, and it's called Sacred Awareness. It's actually one of their newer blends. And they actually sell a flower essence, a mist, which is lovely. I have it. It's got hints of chocolate and cardamom and jasmine. It's very
ooh, that
exotic and
sounds amazing.
intoxicating. Yes, it is. It smells amazing. They also sell like an anointing oil. I don't have the oil, but I do have the flower essence and I have the spray, but it's indicated for surface level awareness, holding back or playing small, avoidance of communication or intense emotions, being attached to outcomes or limiting possibilities. So if that none of that resonates, maybe some of the benefits will resonate. Because for me, the benefits resonated more than like the indicators, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So the emotional benefits are experiencing an awakening as a true path of influence and inspiration, swift exchange of energy, understanding, and communication, heightened familial love and interconnection. Um, and then there's a deeper, just those are just like some very quick like summary points. There's a much deeper description that I read that I was like, ooh, like this sounds amazing. But if any of those points resonated, you may want to go ahead and read more about it and check it out. It's got just in terms of like the flowers, it has fringed orchid, blue penstemon or penstemon, coral root orchid, bee orchid, Taiwanese azalea. Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. So I just have to share. I have been taking this essence for a couple weeks now, and I did not even make this connection because I kind of forgot what was in it. I just bought an azalea bush and planted it in front of my house.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And I was reading about azalea and all about how like it can bring abundance into your life and all of these things. I mean, I read that after I purchased the bush because we first, my husband and I we went to Home Depot, we picked the plant, and then I was like, oh, I know this is going to be meaningful. I know I have to read about this, but I did not make the connection that it was in my flower essence. So I think that's pretty interesting.
How
It
Taurus.
also has, with that.
How Taurus.
I know. It also has stream orchid and Venus flytrap. Um, says Venus flytrap essence, refine your sense of timing, spring into electric action when the timing is right. So it's a
Venus
good.
flytrap reminds me of Venus and Scorpio a little bit.
Mm, yes, it totally
Like
does.
the
And this, I think
web.
that's why this came to mind because it totally carries that energy. And
Yeah.
also we were talking about earlier about like sound vibration, like this essence is uh has like an affinity for like sound healing and things like that.
I'm happy you
Um,
mentioned that because Jupiter going into the fifth house of the joy of Venus,
mhm.
the musical joy and
Well,
influences
there you go.
are maybe coming into play here, and Jupiter trining your ascendant as well for the next month.
Mhm.
That's some good vibes, and it's good for if you have children,
Absolutely.
or joy in the local neighborhood as well. So.
Yeah. And lastly, it has yarrow, which again I mentioned earlier. It's great for energetic protection, for keeping your boundaries clear and strong.
Mm.
They actually include that in all of their blends. And then pink lotus essence, which I believe they also include in all of their blends because lotus, flower essence of lotus, and it's sold by other companies as well. The lotus, like on its own, it enhances any other essence that you take it with.
Interesting.
Mhm.
And I
And then
didn't
on
know
its and
that,
then
like,
actually, so in addition to that, it says that it awakens inner wisdom and knowingness, dissolves stagnant energy, weakness and apathy. Which I think it's that. I think it's like this dissolving that stagnation that actually helps it amplify any other essence that you take it with.
oh, that's really interesting. And Scorpio, like these deep waters, these deep alchemical,
Hmm.
spirits that we're working with these flower essences. Um, and using the water element as well. If you've been feeling like this decrease, or if the south
Hmm.
node on your ascendant if you've felt like this um this decrease in identity, or being able to if you feel like there's been an increase of other people around, like there an increase in the intake of other people's thoughts or influences during this period of time that the nodes have been there. So also Saturn roaming around in your fourth house as well. If
I
there's
just have to find it. I'm like, where did it go? Okay, it's in the fourth house.
Saturn, yeah, if Saturn is also trining uh, your chart ruler at this time. So that's some seriousness, but also this movement of information. There
Hmm.
has been restrictions, or on the home front, in the roots, or like elderly, like people in your life, the elders. It's that energy starting to move forward again because he's been going retrograde. So
It seems very transformational to me. Uh,
yes.
which is why, I
Eighth
think those
house.
came
Yeah.
to mind to support that process.
Absolutely, especially with the chart ruler being in the eighth for such a long period
Mhm.
of time. And transformation is not, we can say transformation, but that's not an easy thing. That's where like the difference between the new moon and the full moon eclipses. There's the full moon is an ending of things. Is there an ending of this of it could be an ending of some sort of a relationship as well that coming to a close.
That's a great point.
Like that's the difference between these. The new moon is an opening of a portal of a new identity for you that has come through, and then a subsequent closing of some sort of influence of others with the
Yeah, totally the
transformation.
completion of a cycle.
Yeah, so these completions, and they they may not come, the process, the lunation phase that we're going into, this full moon. um Transformation is not easy.
Mhm,
Sometimes something has to die off in order for some newness to come through and to come in, and how we deal with the endings of things, for you, Scorpio, especially as a solid sign, and that loyalty that solid signs have in common. So
mhm.
just wanted to put that out there for you as well. So,
Yeah.
do you have a card for us?
I do. I actually feel called to pull from two different decks. I'm going back to the serpent deck because of this whole like energy of like
Love
transfer
it.
rebirth. But then I'm also going to pull one of the what is this called here? Crystal healing crystals oracle information. So okay. So we got from the Oracle of the Serpents, we got heart chakra, clear, strong, full, and open,
Hmm.
which I mean, that just assists us with everything in life, right? Keeping a strong, open heart center affects everything else. So let's see if our crystal card corresponds to that or if it's its own message. Usually, and we'll see what happens in a second, but usually there's a connection between the cards.
Yes.
So,
Well, it just makes me think about seventh house items for Scorpio. Is there healing that has to do with maybe even a past relationship for Scorpio? Is there some sort of transformation because of the holding on? Solid signs like to hold on, and that
right.
loyalty. Is there even is there an ending of maybe holding on to a past relationship?
Right. And not just healing the heart, but like keeping because the card specifically mentioned the
Keep
word
it
open, but like
open.
keeping that heart open to allow
Mhm.
other things to
Maybe
come in,
that's
allow that
intuitively,
transformation.
like, you're really helping me with the intuitiveness that also comes in, because I mean, I
Mm,
do have a very strong understanding of the symbols, but intuitively what I'm getting from with the assistance of the card is the the image of the holding on, and noticing how that has been blocking maybe the heart from
yeah.
allowing others to come in, because of, again, that deck. The Scorpio likes to hold their cards really close to their hands, and maybe blocking that space. So there,
Mhm.
and with Uranus in the seventh, with changes, it's like it's almost like this rebellious change, and then the solid signs getting a getting an earthquake shake through, and they're like,
Yeah,
ah,
yeah.
like I'm very mutable. Like I go with the flow. I have Pisces rising, but for solid signs in my life, um there's that sense of of holding on, and maybe blocking out. So having an open heart um, because
Mhm.
there's seventh house themes coming in that just that really struck me.
Well, let's see if this brings in any other messages for you. So I pulled from that crystal healing deck, Galena, which is a silver metallic stone. It kind of reminds me of pyrite, but it's silver. And so Galena, according to this card, has an affinity for the root chakra, detoxifying, grounding, centering. It's a sulfide, hardness of 2.5. It's an isometric crystal system. And there's a mantra here, or an affirmation here. I am unlimited. And then I just popped open my Judy Hall crystal book here just to see if there's any other additional pieces that stick out. So it says that it's a stone of harmony,
Mm,
bringing balance on all levels and harmonizing the physical, etheric, and spiritual planes. Grounding stone, anchoring and centering, aids in holistic healing, excellent for doctors, homeopaths, and herbalists. Encourages further investigation and experimental trials. Galena opens up the mind, expanding ideas and dissolving self-limiting assumptions from the past, which really kind of ties into what you just mentioned about like a past hurt.
mm, mhm.
So just a little tidbit of information there with the Galena.
That's lovely. I always get introduced to something new when when I have a talk with you. It's amazing. All right,
Oh,
Scorpio.
I love our conversations. I just we vibe so well. I always learn so much. And I always get to share so much. And I'm always excited to share things. I'm like, oh, did you know this?
Yay. Yeah.